Thanks for tuning in for today's video. Today we're going to dive in talking about how much it actually costs to get out and camp, and it gets pretty pricey, guys. So I know when I first got into camping and stuff like that, I didn't really take into account how much it costs every single time you go out and camp. And I'll tell you right now, initially I thought this thing was a freaking money pit, which it still kind of is, but you get used to some of the costs and stuff after you use it for a little bit, and you learn some tips and tricks on how to keep those costs down as you're camping. And I'm telling you, this is like on-the-job training. You learn something new just about every single time you go out and camp. So keep that in mind. You're going to get better every single time you go out and camp. You're going to learn from your mistakes. But let's talk about some of the things that you need to take into consideration before you get out and start camping. That way you can start building some cost estimates and things like that, so you can have a good plan before you get out there and camp. So the first thing I want to look at and pass on is your trip duration. How long do you plan on actually going out there and camping? A lot of things are going to be based on how long you're going to go out and camp, such as how much food are you going to take? Because food right now, if you haven't checked, if you lived under a rock, is really expensive. So obviously enough food for 2 days is going to be different cost than for 2 weeks. Typically for about a week-long trip for us, or like a 4-day weekend or something like that, I would say food-wise, I would say $200 is probably a good starting point, give or take. And that's just, you know, you're gonna be out there making s'mores, you're gonna be making sandwiches, you're gonna be making, for us, we like to make some good meals for dinner, and sometimes even for lunch, we like to make some good meals, grilling steaks and things like that. So it does get a little pricey. So if you're gonna be doing that kind of stuff, you know, it is gonna be a little bit more expensive. But hey, if you're just into making sandwiches and stuff like that, or eating some ramen noodles, you can keep this on a budget. So keep that in mind too. All right, just up front, another cost that you're gonna have to look at is how much does your site cost to actually go camp at? So if you're gonna be going up to a full hookup where they have sewage, water, a power, you're probably looking at least 30, 50, possibly even more. If you stay at like an RV resort, you're probably looking at 80 to $100 per night. So with those, you're getting better amenities and things like that. But just keep that in mind. How much is your site gonna cost for the duration of your trip? Okay, if you are not going to a site that has full hookup, are you gonna be taking a generator? Generators take fuel, generators waste a lot of fuel. So keep that in mind. You're gonna have to probably take a spare gas can. That way you can keep that thing refueled. How much you're actually gonna be using it. Is it wintertime? Is it summertime? You're gonna be running your AC versus running your propane to your heater. Keep those things in mind. All of those are gonna play a factor in how much it actually costs to camp. So I would say on a week-long camping trip, I probably only have to fill up my generator maybe 3 to 4 times, maybe. And that just depends on if I'm having to run my AC unit, if it's the summertime. If it's a wintertime, you're probably gonna be more worried about your propane tanks being filled up. Those are another cost, because if you plan on running your hot water heater, that right there is gonna eat up your propane. If you run your burners on your stove, that's also gonna be eating up your propane, and your heater also runs off propane typically. So just keep those things in mind. To fill up one of these little 30s is probably around 20 to 30 bucks, give or take, where you're at. So keep those in mind. That is also another associated cost. And one of the biggest overlooked costs when we initially got into camping and stuff like that was how much fuel do you need to power your vehicle? Because hey, if you're used to getting 19 miles a gallon in your F-150 or something like that, you're not gonna be getting that when you're pulling a travel trailer. It's just not gonna happen, guys. So don't underestimate how much fuel you're gonna be using, because you're gonna be sadly mistaken when it comes to looking at your budget at the end. What I like to do is pretty much divide whatever my normal fuel mileage is in half. So if you're used to getting 18 miles a gallon, you're probably gonna get 9 miles a gallon pulling one of these things right here. That's just how it is. When you're pulling something that weighs more than your tow vehicle, that's just the nature of the beast, guys. You're gonna be getting less miles per gallon with your tow vehicle. So don't underestimate that. You're gonna be sad when you look at the fuel receipts at the end of that. So those are just some of the basic things that you need to really keep in mind before you go out and camp, if you're trying to build some type of budget or something to go off of. Because if you don't, we kind of suffered with this in the initial stages of camping We just went out there willy-nilly. We didn't really set a budget. We just spent a ton of money on stuff we didn't even know what we were spending it on. And initial cost for owning an RV is really outrageous anyway. So we were just kind of blown away, and we were a little upset at ourselves for even purchasing an RV. So I don't want you guys to make that mistake. Really set everything down, make a budget, write everything out, because I think it's going to really benefit you when it comes to overall long-term sustainability of being able to keep your camper and stuff, and keep your relationship, your family happy when you're out there camping, because it is a lot of money, guys. I get it, but go out there, have yourself a budget, know what you're spending it on, know what you're going to have to spend it on, and have realistic expectations. All right, guys, if you like this kind of content, like and subscribe. I'll catch you in future videos. Thanks for watching.